The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself. We're into the bottom of the ninth, and panties are moist. Welcome to the Queen's Spice podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ragachu, and I'm here with my two BFFs, Jack and Ash. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. We're reading The Lineup by Meghan Quinn, which is published in 2019. It's part of the Brentwood baseball series.
Yeah, it is.
Baseball.
Sports ball. Here it is.
Take me out to the ball game.
We're recording this in the past before the World Series even starts, but
Go team who won.
go team whoever won the World Series. Woo! You did so good. I'm so impressed, especially
Cubs.
when you hit the ball and
Yankees.
they stole home.
Wait, Blue Jays. That's a baseball team.
Go sports.
Go sports ball.
Woo! I actually used to play baseball, so there's I shouldn't make fun of sports ball that bad.
Sports ball.
So, want to know a secret?
Yeah.
It's about that girl over there.
Me?
Don't look,
Oh. I was like, are you talking to me?
but she's the one in the power suit with the long black hair and the serious expression. The one I'm going to go on a date with. Yeah. According to her, she accidentally donated an obscene amount of money to my charity, The Lineup, to win said date, but I found out the truth. Miss Button-Up Blouse has a secret, passionate crush on me. I didn't know her name until 2 days ago, despite the friends that we have in common. Was I oblivious? Probably. Was I blind to it? Definitely. But I'm no fool, and I see it now. The high heel harlot wants more than just a date with Jason Orson. She wants to be able to claim the best butt in baseball as hers. Here's another secret. She has no idea I know.
Ooh. The best butt in baseball.
Jacqueline. You'll notice, Ashton, on the list of characters I have here, the second last character listed is Jason's glorious ass.
Yep.
Fun.
Because we loves a man with
Who
some
the
cake.
fuck is Boobsy McGee?
That's not on my notes.
I'm sorry, Jack.
Is that me?
No, Boobsy McGee is what he calls Dottie the first night they do it.
Oh.
Because he's specifically like, we're not doing it until, like, you know, you trust me complicitly and all this stuff. And so they're like spending a night together or whatever.
Oh,
and,
yeah, and then she gets all...
and then she like wears like the
We'll
like,
get there.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
anyway.
Spoilers!
And then he calls her Boobsy McGee. Boobsy McGee rolls up, didn't get the memo apparently. So, anyway, Jason, to that effect, is fucking hilarious. They're both around the same age. They're like 28-ish. He's the catcher for the Rebels, which is a baseball team based in Chicago, a fictitious one, obviously.
The Rebels and the Bobbies.
And the Bobbies. The Brentwood baseball series.
Is that like Cops and Robbers?
Kind of.
They're two baseball teams.
Right,
I know.
but Cops and Robbers, Bobbies and Rebels. Makes sense. Bobbies are policemen.
But they're the Bobcats, though. They just call them the Bobbies.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
They never mention that anywhere in this book.
I'm pretty sure they're the Bobcats.
Well, that's not in my notes
It's not.
either.
It wasn't in the book either. So there's
My
that.
joke was funny.
Jack, you get a 10 out of 10 on that joke.
Thanks.
I approve. Thank you.
Knox plays for them.
Yes, so does Carson.
Harrison.
And so does Corey Potter, who's Carson's brother-in-law.
No, Corey Potter plays for...
Oh, you have Rebels. Never
the
mind.
Rebels.
Yeah. This is book 3 in the
Yep.
Brentwood baseball series. The first book is The Dugout with Millie and Carson. The second book is Locker Room with Knox and Emery.
Nope, backwards.
Okay, sure. And then there is The Trade, The Change-Up, The Setup, The Strikeout, and The Perfect Catch.
There's like 8 of them.
Have you
There's-
read them all?
No. I had a short period of time in which I had to pick a baseball book, and I sampled the 3, and I was going to sample more, but I was over baseballed. So
That's low ball.
I will do the rest of them because they are fun. Fun fact, the book that I'm listening to right now is narrated by Connor Crace. And
Oh, Kaylee Loring and Connor Crace, which is the St. Patrick's Day book we had done last year. Or
oh,
following
did I
year.
get that wrong then? Oh shit, I don't know. I'm pretty sure his name's Connor Grace. Anyway, or maybe I picked it up. I don't know. But the next book in this series, The Trade, is also narrated by Connor Grace. So my phone did something stupid when I tried to play Crimson River, which is the book I'm listening to now, and started playing The Trade instead. And I was like, that's his voice. Okay, da-da-da-da-da. This is not the tone of the book. I'm very confused. Why is he talking about things getting fucked up? I'm like, oh, it's the wrong one. But I do really like Connor Grace as a narrator because his voice
Is he
great.
Irish?
No. But yeah, it is on my list of like, I have them all. I just needed to pick a good one. And this one was I think it was the funniest of the three.
I didn't read the other two, honestly.
I was more talking to myself.
Because that's what we do in podcasts. We talk to ourselves and not anybody else.
The spice in this one isn't as good as the spice in the first one. And when I listened to the first one, there was a part where I was like, oh, this would be really great to make Jacqueline read, because it had not so dry humping, which is not something we've really had her read before.
Not so dry humping.
Well, like rubbing pelvises together, but there's no like dry humpings when there's clothes.
So priest.
Frottage, I guess. No, wait, that's when two guys. Isn't that? Is frottage with the two dicks?
I've never heard that word.
Frottage? Anyway.
Frottage?
Anyway, it has her rubbing herself against him and being all hot and horny that way.
Grinding.
That happens in this book too.
It's not as hot in this book as it is in the other book. But there's this fucking time jump that
Oh, yeah.
fucks me. I don't
That's
like
the
it.
one. Okay, right, because that's Knox and Emery. There's like a 10-year time jump. Or
Yes.
something.
And then this book fucked me up. 'Cause remember, I was like, Jesus Christ, not another 10-year fucking time jump.
So, okay.
We'll get
to
there.
that point, though, Jason is...
He went to school with the boys.
He's so fucking sarcastic and funny and weird.
Yeah.
It's written first-person perspective back and forth between the two of them. And because of that, like, Jason speaks to the audience constantly. Like, directly, like, oh, hey, like, listen to this. Here's what happened. And, like, it's very
I
fourth
like
wall
that
break kind of thing.
style.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, you would, like...
You would love this guy.
He's fucking manic. Like, there was a point where I messaged the group chat and I was like, I can't tell if I love this guy or I fucking hate him. Like, there were times where I was like, whoa, slow your roll, crazy. But then I was like, I could totally see Rachel saying that to me and me doing the exact same thing in this situation.
Yeah. This has serious Ash vibes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, in a huge way. I think that's part of the reason I was so annoyed, because I was like, I'm annoying myself.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want a reflection of yourself in things. No, totally.
This was like, oh, hey, that's a thing you would do, and you don't want to admit that you would do that. I wouldn't cook naked, but, you know.
You wouldn't shine silverware so that you can see your nether regions in them?
That was amazing. I'm sorry. I fucking died.
How do you know? Why are you doing that? Well, it's how you know they're shiny enough is when you can see your balls in them.
The things that he does.
The shit that comes out of his fucking mouth is why I'm like, this guy is like almost Ashton. Because sometimes you say some shit.
But also how sensitive he is about things too. I felt that in my soul, because I was like,
he's a sensitive boy.
I would totally be upset about that too.
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, so like she accidentally donates the money to his charity.
Like
She's
10
always,
grand.
Yeah, not a small amount. She's always had a crush on him when they were in school and blah, 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 whatever. And then he like gets upset because she doesn't want to go on the fake date. Like, not fake date.
So let's backtrack here. So they're both single. He gets traded from Tampa to Chicago. He grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
She is a like real estate guru, basically. Like she's not the head of this company, but she's like a manager in this company that her father owns.
Very high up.
Very high up, makes a lot of money. She's very well to do. Very good at her job.
Yes.
She's been screwed over real bad by a relationship in the past, and so she's got a chip on her shoulder about it. Yep. Jason has two, and so for that reason, he doesn't really date. But he's also like aware that if he starts dating someone, it's going to be like the one sort of thing. And she's
I loved when he was like thinking about that, and he was like, that's why I always wrap it twice.
Oh my
and I'm
God,
like,
insane. That's some of the shit he says.
oh my God.
So her friends who are Emery and Lindsay. They have this they have a group chat, obviously, because that's what you do when you have friends who you don't see all the time.
What do you mean?
Group chat.
What's a group chat?
Oh man, group chat's wild. And so they're like making fun of her about being single and like she get out there and date and stuff. And then they happen upon this because obviously they're good friends with Jason, and he just moved back to town, and he was
moved
telling
in
us
across the
he
hall.
moved across the hall from Knox and
Emery.
and Emery. Also, I hate how her name is spelled Emory.
I wouldn't know because I listened to it
Oh, fair. Okay.
Emory.
Yeah.
instead of Emmery or Emmry.
Emary. Anyway, it's fine. I had a character named Emery in a vampire game. That's why I'm like, terrible. So Emery sends her an email about this charity event. It's what is it called? No, it's the actual thing. Charity support. It's called Charity Hustle.
Oh, yeah, because Jason's trying to raise money for the lineup, but he's doing Charity Hustle, donating a date. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
My brain was like trying to do the Plinko thing.
She has a miscommunication. She has it open on her computer, and then she has to go take a meeting, whatever. And she was also looking at pictures of Jason, of course.
Oh yeah,
the towel
the
picture.
towel picture.
Yeah, trademark towel picture with the bulge. And so she accidentally left the window open for the charity event on her desktop, and then she had a miscommunication with her secretary about another donation she was making for something. Secretary accidentally donated $10,000 this charity thing for her, and then she won. And when she wins, she like has a fit and goes over to Emery's, and she's like, you said there was like a 1% chance this was going to happen, and there was no way. I was like, I actually doned this money, and there's no way I was going to win and whatever. And then she wins.
Because she crushing on him.
So when they were going to university, she hung out with the baseball crew. Like the loft. Yeah, the loft. But Jason always had like women around him.
And he was a year younger than them.
He was a little bit younger. He always had women around him, so she never really approached him. Now, she did have her eyes on the cake, as it were, because that ass is spectacular, and he's always had dad ass.
And I love how he's aware of dad ass. Like
he's so proud of dad ass.
When his sister's like, you won the award for best butt in baseball, and she's like, whoa, I didn't think you'd actually take this
and
seriously.
He's like, don't play with me
Yeah,
like that. You
got
can't.
it.
Like the most spectacular, because he's a catcher. Like you're up and down, and your ass.
Oh yeah.
I've never been a catcher with a shitty ass. Wait. I'm gonna rephrase that.
Yeah, might wanna.
I've never met a catcher with a bad ass. That's no better.
There's no way you can say that.
I've
You
never-
should keep it the way it was. It sounds wonderful.
All catchers have amazing
Odd
asses.
ass.
That's just
I've
how
never
it
met a
is.
catcher with a flat ass.
Correct.
There you go.
It's just not a thing that's done. It's just not done.
Well, you can't squat for 90% of your job and have a pancake butt.
It's true.
And
Yeah,
Jason
especially
Orson
in the
just
leagues.
happens to have.
He's got the creme de la creme, as it were, of asses.
And he comes across as such like, it's not even fucking.
His ego. It's not even egotistical. His confidence.
It's not even golden retriever energy though. Like
It's
normally,
beyond that.
normally it's like, wow, golden retriever energy. You were such a goofy whatever. But his is like boxer. Because you know how boxers are super like like golden retrievers are too, but like just stunned, run into walls energy. Like what in the name of fuck? How did you?
But he's very self-aware.
How did you put your pants on in the morning?
And he also he goes at his friends, Knox and Carson, in a way that he's like, I was always there for you, so you're gonna be there for me when I'm going through this. And he brings up brownies, and they have heart-to-heart talks, and he calls Knox when he's going through it, and it's such a beautiful relationship he has with his friends.
Well, and in this, I think it's the second book when he gets introduced in the second book maybe, and they talk about him. It's like he's the guy that purposely does shit to freak out the other guys. Like he's always kissing his friends on the mouth.
He
or,
does that several times in this book.
Yeah. Like he's just, and I'm like,
but then he also cooks everyone dinner.
oh yeah.
And he's like the mama bear. And you literally just cooked his dinner. That's hilarious.
Oh.
And he
And I
looks
got a big
after
ass.
everyone. Yeah, you do. And he looks after everyone,
Yeah.
and it's he's such a wholesome, lovely character. And so
With when daddy energy when it comes down to
that's
it.
a whole. We're gonna talk about that. So when Dottie wins this date, she's like, I can't go on a date with this guy.
Yeah.
That's insane. So she schedules a date, but then ends up canceling it closer to the deadline because she's like, I just can't do this. Like, this is whatever. And Jason, like, takes it super seriously. And he actually goes over. So Emery and Knox know that she won this. And Jason does not know who Dottie is. And so he goes over to Knox's and Carson is there. And they're
batting average.
And so he's lamenting about this. And Carson's like, wait a second. Domico. Who do I know? Domico. That name is so familiar.
Yeah.
And then Carson slowly pieces it together. And Knox, meanwhile, is like, zip the lips because he like
has been threatened
he's
by
been
Dottie.
threatened by Dottie by wishing like a shitty batting average on him. It's like 140 or something, which is horrendous. And so he's like, I can't. She wished basically death upon me. I cannot speak. And Carson's like, okay, well, listen, just nod yes or no, and that way you're not speaking. And he's like, this is gonna be so bad. And so Carson starts like 20 questions of him, and Jason's there, of course. So they suss out who she is, and he's like, we went to school together. It's like he still doesn't know who she is though. Like he never really recognized her.
Yeah.
But both Carson and Knox know who she is. And anyway, so he takes this like very personal and he like researches and find out who she is and all this stuff. And on the Friday night they're supposed to have a date, he just like shows up at her work, her office.
Her favorite burgers.
With her favorite burgers. And
What?
Yeah.
she's like, I'm calling security, get the hell out. And he's like, okay. And then he comes back with burgers. And then she's like, no, seriously, he's like, you're just going to leave that perfectly good burger right there. Like,
and he's like organizing the fries, like
dude, he
artistically.
plates it. He brings cutlery and plates and he plates the whole thing. And like, it's fucking adorable. And also like love at first sight because the second he sees her, he's like, oh shit.
And when he watches her eat, he's like, I have never seen a woman consume food the way she does.
Like inhales the burger.
Yeah. And it becomes a thing too.
It does. And she has this personality thing. I like Dottie a lot. She's a really good character. She has this thing where when she gets focused on something, she's like the ADHD of it, where she's like, I'm doing this 110%, including eating a fucking burger. She just like inhales that thing. And he's watching her and just like salivating because this is like one of the hottest things he's ever fucking seen.
He loves a woman who can enjoy her food.
Oh God, it's wonderful.
My favorite though, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
So when she finishes her burger and fries and whatever, and they start like kind of having a conversation, and then security immediately comes in and removes him.
I love it.
So she had him kicked out of the office.
I love that she stuck to her guns though.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm gonna do this. Well, I might as well enjoy my burger, but he's also being hauled out of here. But then he ends up making friends, which is another thing that I would do. Is make friends with the fucking security guards hauling me out of the building.
Now the only difference is you don't care if people like you or not. Jason, like, people need to like him. He's like 100% like,
I care if people
you do, but like he goes out of his way to be like, you're gonna be my friend. And then sure enough, he's like, and we're best friends. Perfect. Like he's very good at it.
Nice to people, I guess. I don't know.
People migrate to you too. It's wild. It's a wild thing to see. We were just in the grocery store and I'm like, you just made 3 friends. Like
the
how?
rando woman who gave me a high five.
Oh man, the old lady who gave you a high five in the fucking cheese aisle. That was rad.
Chips. It was chips.
Oh, you're right. Because she was trying to find. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because she couldn't see them because of her glasses.
Oh my God. Anyway, and I was like, this is a judgment-free zone. And then she high-fived you. Anyway, wild.
I know, man.
It was quite a time.
I'm telling you, the things that I have clients divulge to me too because they're like, I can trust you. I'm like, yep.
You're obviously a person that doesn't care what people say.
You're not gonna repeat this to anybody. Nope.
Probably
not gonna remember it either.
So Jason is like super butthurt, but he also has the mentality of like, well, we're gonna be friends. You're gonna like me because I like you. I got a crush, but he's also like, I see it. He's like, I see it. She likes me. I know she does. Like, I know she does. He's got this sixth sense about it. And
just like I know.
So
Jacqueline likes
so
me.
they're at. In the meantime, Knox and Emery find out that Emery's pregnant.
That was epic too, though, because like Jason just kind of storms into their apartment and she's like losing her. She's like losing her shit. She's like, what is going on? And she's like, something about peanuts. And she's like,
who puts the nuts back empty in the? Oh my God.
And then he's like, well, I have nuts at my apartment. And she's like, that doesn't do me any good now.
Oh my God, it was very funny. She's totally unhinged. And
Yeah.
he's like, go find out there's a fucking demon spawn growing in you, and gives her the pregnancy test out.
Which is so funny because like Knox was so pumped to be a dad after all that too. And it was like, yay, babies.
It's an interesting relationship.
Wholesome.
Super wholesome. And so they have this, Knox and Emery have this party to like basically announce that they're pregnant or whatever, which was, I don't know. Timing's always weird on those things. But,
I mean, it was an excuse to have Dottie eat Jason's famous potato salad.
oh my God.
The potato.
Okay.
Oh my God, though. I love how we both reacted at the same time. When he was like,
This is such a thing I would fuck. This is what I'm like, I'm reading this book and I'm like, you're Jason and I'm Dottie, because I would fucking do this in 2 seconds.
but I'm gonna step back to when he was like getting the information from Knox and Carson, when he was like freaking out about his socials. Like, do you think that she didn't like my Instagram post about the potato salad? Did I post something she didn't like?
And then he tells her that too, like no filter.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah.
No filter. No fucking filter. Yeah. She's standing there. Yeah. Eating the potato salad. And he's like, yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
you're really enjoying that potato salad, hey?
Yeah. And I would do that.
Yep.
And then he's like, yeah, I made it. And then she just kind of spits it out onto her plate
Blech.
and hands him the plate.
Sticks it on top of his plate.
Yeah,
And
and
leaves. Yeah. And I'm like, that's such a me move. If I didn't like somebody, they know I don't like them. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I would do that.
Oh.
Anyway, so they have some like back and forth and stuff. And then Lindsay, who is loose lips Lindsay when she gets too drunk.
Oh, yeah.
She gets to that stage of like, she shouldn't be talking, but she is. She like lets it slip to Jason, kind of that. Well, she says offhand, like, isn't Jason the guy you had a crush on when we were in university? And she's like,
Oh, and
that's me. And she's just like, or no, sorry, it was didn't you say Jason had the best butt in baseball? And she's like, no, I was talking about Walker, the guy from the
Oh,
the
yeah, and then he
Bobbies.
like moped the entire time. And then Emery walks up and is like, you're ruining my party. Dottie's like, I did nothing.
Yeah, loose lips Lindsay did this.
Jason's over there freaking out, saying going on about his ass. Like,
And he bothers her so many times during the whole thing. It's very
oh my
funny.
God, I love it.
Gosh, it's a thing. So then Knox and Emery are going on vacation. So they're not going on vacation. They are, but they're going to see her parents to like tell them that they're pregnant or whatever.
Yeah. In person.
And Emery is apparently a crazy plant lady.
Yeah.
So she has, Jack, you'll appreciate this. She has a binder with laminated pages of how to look after her plants.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
so she asked Dottie to look after plants while she's away. And she's like, no, Jason's going to be across the goddamn hall. I'm not doing that. And she's like, wait. Jason's going to the Bahamas that week.
With Carson and Millie.
With Carson and Millie. And so he's not going to be around, so don't worry about it. And she's like, okay, fine.
Ha! There's only one hallway?
Elevator?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, then there's that.
So,
But in the meantime, Dottie's trying to get a...
okay, hold on. We gotta do this. It's a timeline situation here.
I can't remember the
So
timeline.
she's looking after the plants.
Yes.
And the very first day she goes look after the plants, she's in the elevator. And Jason comes in the door with some dinner or whatever, fast food, cheesesteak. And he's like, oh, hold the elevator. And she's like, puts her
Nope.
hand out, holds the elevator. And then he comes face to face with her. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, what are you doing here? She's like, I'm plant sitting. What are you doing here? And he's like, I live here. And she's like, yeah, but you're supposed to be on vacation. And he's like, yeah, and I live here, but I'm not. I'm like, anyway, and they have some back and forth.
Because his sister canceled
his sister moved it for reasons for the foundation.
Yeah.
His sister Natalie, who is the CEO of the foundation. So they're in the elevator, they're going up, whatever, and then the elevator comes to a stop. And she hits all the buttons and whatever, and nothing happens. And like she can't get a cell signal, and there's no like emergency call thing or whatever. So they're stuck in an elevator together now. And
Of course.
obviously we've got the close proximity thing going on here.
Yeah.
And they end up playing like to rip Hangman,
Yeah.
I think is what it is. Like
Yeah.
she loses so many games and she's just like really bad at all the games. Even coin toss, she like loses all of them somehow. And it's very funny because she's such like a CEO, like
And just
boss
competitive.
bitch. And she's just getting her ass handed to her in games. And it's very funny.
And he's like not taking it seriously at all.
Oh heavens no. And then like there's one point he takes his shirt off just for funsies and she's like sweating bullets. But anyway, it's
That's
very
the thing that happened.
and the thing they have back and forth where it's like he knows he's getting under his skin and then she's like the boss babe who like has a fucking stone cold like facade who will never show her poker hand. It's very funny. It's just there's such a good like balance.
The chemistry between these two characters.
Oh
is really
hell
great.
yeah. So they finally get out of the elevator and then they go into the respective rooms or respective apartments.
They get out of the elevator, but when they do, after like some,
It's like 2 hours or something.
well, and it's like the tension is real. But then when the elevator doors open, the guy who's just
The
like,
old guy.
the old guy's just standing there being like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, and the doors just open. There's like no like the lights come back on. There's no like it just they're like, oh.
It's a weird situation because I was trying to cue into that the second time I read it through
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't.
What just happened?
Well, I didn't get the vibe that the elevator wasn't broken, but then
Yeah.
Jason's kind of like, you just pushed a bunch of buttons, so you probably just stopped it or something. But it was a stopped elevator.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
then, anyways, it was a whole thing.
It was almost like it stopped on the floor, but the doors didn't open.
That's
but
right.
then they
But
thought
then-
it was broken, but it wasn't actually broken.
Anyway, whatever happened.
It was weird.
It was very funny. Also, what kind of building do you live in that's a residential building at dinner time potentially, where somebody doesn't use the elevator for 2 hours?
I don't know.
That would never be
What
a thing.
kind of dude wears thongs?
Okay. So Jason wears thongs, but he definitely does it when he's
Man
running
thongs.
because he likes his junk to be nice and toit, but he likes to feel his shorts on his ass.
And she asks him if he does when he's wearing.
I can appreciate that. Like the spandex on your bum.
Yeah.
Well, and she asks him if he wears them like with jeans.
With
And he's like,
jeans.
I'm not a monster.
I would never. Except one time he does because he wants her.
Yeah,
he wants-
the
yeah.
neon green. Oh my god, the thought process behind that was fucking brilliant. But like her going through his fucking apartment and like going in his drawers and being like, "Who buys this many condoms?"
Okay, hold on. We're getting there. This is literally where I'm going next. So they go down the hall to the respective apartments, and
doesn't have the
she
keys.
forgot the key. And she's like, I gotta go back to my office and get this stupid key after 2 hours of that shit. And then he's like, well, I mean, I have a spare key for their apartment. You can just come over and get it.
Yep.
And she's like, okay, fine. And he's like, I just don't know where it is though. I'm gonna have to look for it. And she's like, okay, where would it be?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, might be my bedroom. And she's like, is this the part where you're like, oh, now that we're in the bedroom together, mer, mer, mer. And he's like, no, I would never. So she starts ripping through all of his drawers, opens the drawer with the thongs in it,
No,
and then
thongs were in the
the dresser.
with the laundry.
They were in both.
Oh.
So she goes and starts like opening drawers and stuff, and she sees like the drawer of his underwear drawer and all that stuff. And then she opens the bedside table drawer and open a little like too overzealous.
And the condoms
And
fly everywhere.
it's just filled to the brim with condoms. And she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, I buy them in bulk when they're on sale and I move to a new city. I want to like maybe, you know, meet someone or whatever. I want to make sure I'm ready. And so he's just got like a
extra
ton,
large.
extra
Extra
large,
large.
Oh.
a ton of extra large
Yeah,
condoms.
Magnum.
Anyway, so she's like, I'm leaving. This is bullshit. I'll just go back to the office. And as soon as she's about to leave, he's like, oh, look, I was so drunk, but I still organized this correctly. And he pulls the key off the key ring that's right at the front door and gives it to her. And obviously she has a fit about that.
He's such a pain in the ass. I love it.
Such a pain in the ass on purpose.
Troll.
Such a troll. So she goes off and whatever. He does later invite her to, I think the next morning. Ooh, do you remember this one?
The coffee?
The coffee in the shoe because she whiffs the shoe at him. He brings her coffee, but then he gets like up close and personal with her, like goes a little alpha. Do you remember this when he like leans up against the door and almost
Oh, the
traps
door
her, and
thing,
he like
yeah.
gets in real close and whispers in her ear, be like, "You should come to dinner tonight.
And this is why
I'll
Rachel
see you
does
at-
not listen to audiobooks.
I'll see you at
Oh,
I'll see you at
shit.
7:00. Is this like how does it?
I mean, it wasn't like
You should come to dinner with me.
they don't always do that. It's when
Oh,
they get
okay.
growly.
I mean,
You should
I
come
assume
to
he gets
dinner
growly in
with
that
me.
point if they do growly in that book. But anyway,
They don't do growly.
okay. So anyway, he like gets in real close and's like, you know, like I'll see you at 8 for dinner, basically.
like, "Nope, not
And
gonna
she's
do
like,
that."
nope, not doing it. So then she goes to work.
Right.
And she has this big meeting for this big deal, multi-million-dollar deal that like would be a company making deal. And she lies to them.
Well, because there's
There's two firms.
Yeah, 3 firms in the running for it. Them and 2 other people. 2 other. I thought there was 3.
No.
But it was between 2 of them. There's 3 firms running, but it was between the 2 of them, wasn't it?
No, there's 2 firms. But what you're misremembering is that one of the firms is someone and someone is one firm, and then there's her. Then there's their firm. So anyway, so these 2 it comes down to these 2 firms. And they're competing against these other dudes. And these other dudes have a big family to do. And, like, the kids of the owners are getting married together. And it's, like, they're carrying on the legacy. And, like, this is one of those things, too, that, like, when business... Single. Well, when business deals are, like, tied to those, like, core value things, I'm like, it's, like, your personal life is your personal life. It's not your business life. I always think those things are fucking weird. But anyway... Not how they care in this book.
But also, it speaks to, like, women being strong.
Oh my god,
and not
the misogyny in this book too. Like, because and this is a thing that even she draws on, because she's a big wig CEO, and there are not a lot of women CEOs, and so she as a character is a very closed off person in that regard, because she knows that she's got to be this, like, emotionless kind of block of a human in order to compete with the other men CEO in the world that she works in reality. So that's a big driving point for a lot of things her character does. And this is one of them where she will do anything to get the deal because she, like, always strives towards that.
Including lie about dating Jason Orson.
Correct. So she tells this couple who are trying to do business with them, because they're like, oh, well, you know, these dudes, they're getting married, whatever, family values, passing it down, and you're just, like, a single lady and whatever, so, like, we want to go with the other firm. And she's like, actually, I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for, like, 4 years with this guy named Jason Orson. He's, like, kind of a private person, so, like, it's not a big thing because he, like, is a celebrity. So we're trying not to, like, publicize or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, that changes things, and we'll consider your whatever, and we're going on vacation. We'll see you in 4 months. Not really 4 months. It's like a month or something.
We're piecing out for a bit, guys.
Yeah, anyway, it becomes a thing. And then her father's just like, oh, I hope I know what you know what you're doing, because this is not good, because he knows she's not dating him. And she's like, I have dinner with him tonight, actually, so that's fine.
I always worry that the books are boring when Jacqueline doesn't ask a bunch of questions.
No, I'm not bored. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay.
It's very straightforward. There aren't any questions so far.
I'm doing a very good job at explaining. Thank you. So she goes to dinner and is, like, admittedly acting very weird, because
coming on very strong.
She's coming on super strong to Jason, because now she's like, oh, well, now I got to be in a relationship with him. Even though, and this is kind of a weird part too, where she's, like, putting it on, like, he obviously wants to date her. He's even made, like, no bones about it. But she's like, I don't want to date you. I don't want to date anyone. I have no interest in dating anyone.
He's so uncomfortable. It's so funny.
And
that's okay. That's really horrible to say, that it was funny that he was so uncomfortable. I think it was just his, like, the narrator's reaction to reading him uncomfortable was amusing, because admittedly that's a really shitty situation to put somebody in, to be, like, coming on super strong and having them be like, wah! And, like, it's kind of horrible that I think it's funny when it's a guy, because when it happens to girls it sucks. So, like, I'm sorry. It's a shitty situation to be in.
It's very odd to me too. I don't know. It's a weird one, because it's like, he is a very forward person like that already.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like he's getting it back, and that's not okay.
Yeah. He's like, ha, 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 what are you doing?
Yeah, right? And it's like, this is kind of how the vibe you give people sometimes. But he's joking? I don't know. It was an interesting kind of situation, because I'm like, okay.
I feel like
this is what, like, this is almost what you were after, but you actually don't. Like, it's I don't know. It's a vibe. The whole thing was a vibe, is what I'm going to say.
I think he was, like, all talk about it, sort of, and now he's, like, getting what he, quote, unquote, wanted.
Yes, but it's weird, because that's not who she is.
Yeah, and I think, like, with him, it's his personality. Like, you expect that from his personality, so you know that about him. Mm-hmm. Versus her, it's not. It's outside of her norm, which is throwing him off.
And so he's like, are you, like, drunk or high or anything?
Yeah.
And so then she's like, you know what, this is a bad idea. And, like, they end up, like, dropping the enchiladas and, like, breaking the dish and all this.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And he, like, anyway, so she goes back to her place.
Not the enchiladas.
Yeah, and destroys the enchiladas. So she goes back to her place, and then, like, the next day or something, he goes over and apologizes And she's like, what are you apologizing for? Like, you didn't do anything. Like, I was the asshole. I was the one that whatever. And he's like so heartfelt in his apology. And it's one of his values he mentions in the book too, is that like, even if both of you are wrong, you should be the bigger person and apologize for your bit regardless. And it's like, there's so many like these little like moral nuggets amongst just, yeah, right? There's all these like moral things in here that like, he's
Like-
such a good person.
My panties are moist.
I hate you.
It's official. The panties are moist.
Panties are moist.
You sound like Zoe Deschanel when you said that.
Amazeballs.
It's official.
It's official.
We're into the bottom of the ninth, and
Oh my God.
panties are moist.
I hate
Seventh inning stretch. Moist panties. Moist. Do you know
Get
they
your moist
actually do that?
panties.
They actually do that little stretch thing between like the. It's so fun.
What are you talking about?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Oh.
The seventh inning stretch or whatever. I think it's like between like the top and the bottom of the seventh or something.
I don't even know what that means.
Sports ball.
My son played softball, and I was like, I don't know what innings are. I don't know what top and whatever. I don't know. I just was there.
You don't know what bottoms are?
I know what bottoms are.
Moist ones too.
There's a movie coming out called Bottoms, and it's about a lesbian fight club.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the shit out of that.
Anyway.
Okay, where were we?
Lesbian
He
fight
apologizes.
clubs.
He apologizes. And they kind of like, you know, have some back and forth about stuff. A couple days later, she apologizes to him.
Bitch didn't apologize when he did.
But not really, because she's like, again, she's like, what is going on? And she's right out of it, and she's also screwed herself because said she was in this relationship with this guy, and this guy's like, I'm not having it. She kind of backtracks, and this is kind of the tipping point, I think, of where she's like, I really want to date this guy. I'm really into him, like genuinely into him. After like the apology and that just a lot of different things happened.
Do they make gnocchi?
Yes, they do. We're getting there.
I know. It's funny because I listened to / read a bunch of books around the same time. And, when I was reading The Intern, and I think after I did The Intern after I did this one, and they made gnocchi together in both books.
And we just had gnocchi
And we just had
dinner.
gnocchi. So
Gnocchi's deadly. I love it.
So
Good.
that's where my brain... I used to call it gnocchi because I didn't know any better.
I love that for you.
And all right. That's such a Jason Orson thing to do.
Sam Hain.
Only...
Never again.
Yep. Anyway.
She brings him a wrapped present, which he dies for because
yeah.
he loves a wrapped present. Who doesn't? And in the present that she gives him is a new dish and a pair of new oven mitts.
That match hers. Or something.
And they're the same kind that she has at home, and they're bright pink. And she's like, I figured of all the people that could rock them, you would rock them. And the stuff to make enchiladas again.
Because they broke them at the restaurant.
Because this was her
No, they didn't
apologizing.
break them at the restaurant.
It was at their apartment.
It was at his
Yeah.
apartment.
So this is her apologizing to him.
She broke his dish.
Wait, that was their dinner? She went to his house?
Yeah, he cooked for her.
Oh, shit! Now my panties are just falling off wet.
I agree. Cook
What?
me dinner and tell me I'm pretty. I'm all about it. Thanks for barfing at that, Ashton. Appreciate it.
I was perfect at what she said.
The moist
I was
panties?
like,
Rachel, you're so pretty.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make you dinner.
I made dinner.
So,
You're still pretty though.
thank you. So this is her apologizing, basically. And he eats that shit right up, obviously.
Obby.
Because number one, acts of service and gift giving and being thoughtful and also apologizing, which is a big deal.
If she wanted to, she would, and she did.
Correct.
Put a ring on it.
So this is kind of the, like I said, the kind of tipping point of the relationship where they like start hitting it off and spending time together and doing stuff together. And there was, I think the following night, she's like, I'm going to be late watering the plants. Can you go water the plants? The binders, whatever. The laminated sheets on the binder, can you like whatever? And when she texts him, it's from an unknown number. And so he's like, I don't want to be weird, but like, who is this? And also, I'm going to read a couple of their texts it shortly because they're fucking hilarious. Because Jason's a manic human.
I love him, but I also hate him.
So as
I
a
love him.
as a thank you, she brings him ice cream
For
like a
watering the
blizzard for watering the plants. Yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah,
comes
the
in
blizzard.
late. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
10:30 at night or something. And so like this is just like that's it. She's in. He's in. They're in. Both of them are in.
Dairy Queen is open till 11. Good for her.
Yeah, right. Fucking love a blizzard.
Ugh.
Cookie dough, fuck me up.
I'm really regretting not getting that ice cream when we were at Sobeys earlier.
We have brownies and ice cream. We can mush them together.
Holy shit snacks. Next, to be continued. Cookies and or fucking brownies and ice cream. Okay.
On the next episode of Queens of Spice.
So,
And we're back. Delicious.
so then
Delicious.
so she works like really late hours a lot of nights, and she works weekends sometimes too.
She works a lot.
She works a shit ton, like on purpose. Like,
Instead of accidentally.
intentionally. Well, she's the boss, so she's always like, I'm gonna work extra. Because she's working so much extra days and stuff, she decides to take like a long weekend R&R situation
Oh, yeah.
to her family's cabin up north. It's a couple hours drive up north.
Yeah.
And he invites himself along as one does. And so he like packs their bags and like brings his
Meets her
SUV.
dad.
So like brings the SUV to her work to pick her up, and she changes and whatever.
What?
And her dad is there because he's in town on business or whatever. Like they were staying for a while.
They're staying at her place.
Correct.
While she stays at Emery and Knox's house.
Her dad is like, oh, what are you dressed like that? She's like, oh, I'm going to the cabin. Like Jason's gonna pick me up, and he's like, oh, really? Better go meet him.
Doesn't Jason get like mildly flirty with his dad?
Yes,
Her dad too.
1,000%. Talks about like you should. Well, I mean, if we can leave Emery here and you can come to the cabin with me, as long as he's like, oh, you got to change your clothes for me, and he's like, as long as you don't mind sharing underwear with another man.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it
Again, something I
again,
would say.
and like, but also endearing as shit because
Yeah.
you could say shit like that and get away with it, which is like another like this is what Jason is like. It was quite wonderful. And so they drive up to the cabin. He has like an established playlist. They're like playing games in the car and shit. And she's like laughing her face off and having the best time ever.
It really is our friendship.
It really is. It's funny. Except the next step is when they're in this cabin together and he wants to they got it hard for each other. The forced proximity is real. And they're just like, they're so hard up for each other. And she's like, I want him to make a move on me so bad. And he's like, I'm not making a move on her. I can't. But then, like, they make the day they're making gnocchi together. And she's like, when it's from her perspective, she's just like obsessed. She's like, he's like leaning against me and like helping me do. And it's like, Jesus Christ, just like fucking fuck me already.
And at that point, Rachel was like, yes.
So he, however, Jason like sneaks off to the car to like call Knox because he's having like a moment of like, what the fuck am I doing? What is going on? I can't make a move on her. Knox is like, don't call me again until you make a fucking move on her. Are you kidding me? You're like obsessed with this gal.
He's like nervous or
yeah, he just can't pull the trigger. It's very funny.
Which would be something I would do.
So
I would go on
and you
hide
would call me and I'd be like, you go fucking rail that girl already. Or boy, whatever. Anyway, no judgment. So he
Do
just
not call me again until you get the dick.
dicking down or don't call.
I mean, admittedly, there was lots of times when we were supposed to be doing D&D and I just left to get laid.
Yeah, that's whatever. It's in the past.
I'm not mad at you. About
I've
it
moved
now.
on
I
from that
wasn't
very
mad.
hurtful situation. Thank you.
Very hurtful situation.
Ash, I want to hang out with you. I'm gonna get laid instead. Okay, that's fine.
Even when it was at her birthday, are you over that?
Too soon, Jack. It's too soon.
Too soon. It was fucking over 10 years ago.
It was 15, but it's too soon.
It was because I just finished massage therapy school.
Anyway, we're not talking about the past. We're talking about the present, and we're talking about this book. So
Now Rachel encourages me to get the D on the regular.
everyone needs the D. There's this like insane amount of tension, and then they like just they get really really close at one point, and she's like in his face like kiss me, and he like just turns around and leaves and trips over a fucking like table and knocks a lamp over.
No.
And it's so embarrassingly funny.
Again, something that would happen to me.
So fucking fucking funny. He's such a funny dude. Oh god. Again, Meghan Quinn with the rom-com shit. Like, it's too good. It's too good.
And I have to say too, like, there's some cases, like, there's some authors, and I won't name names because I don't want to be an asshole, but like, they do the quirky shit, or they lean into the quirky shit, and they like almost hit it too far. It's almost like, you know, too much. That was just, it almost gets a little cringy.
It feels
tiresome.
Unnatural.
Yeah,
It's unnatural.
This is just
Oh my God.
like it's so
It's
like
unnaturally amazing.
well, it's like it's so organic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
and he feels like a real person too.
well, and yeah, the characters are built up in a way that like the quirk isn't obscene and it makes sense, and you're not sitting there going, "Oh my fuck, not again!" Like
there is some cringy moments in this book.
oh,
I'm not gonna
hands down.
lie, but like it's part of his.
Embarrassment.
Oh yeah, and it's part of his like repertoire.
And it doesn't feel out of place.
No, not at all. Not at all. The next day they drive back and she's like in a grump, obviously, because like, why the fuck didn't you kiss me, you asshole?
No D.
And so they get back.
They didn't even kiss.
They go back to their respective apartments. And then the next day, I think it was, or whenever it was, she was talking to Lindsay, or
Yeah.
she'd been talking to Lindsay, I think, texting Lindsay on the way back from in the vehicle, and then she called her and talked to her.
And Lindsay's like a massive horn dog.
Oh my god, she's such a horn dog.
She has this little novella. Actually, I read the novella, Lindsay's novella, before I got into the Brentwood Boys series because it was at the end of the duets, and I had no idea what was happening, and I was like, "Well, this is happening," because some of the characters are in it, obviously, but it's the teachers, not necessarily the baseball players, because Lindsay is a teacher and Emery is a librarian, and she's just. Oh, yeah, she likes the baseball boys.
She talks to she talks to Lindsay, and Lindsay's like, "Oh, he's gay."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't think he's gay." She's like, "No, he's got to be gay. There's no way. There's just no way. Why wouldn't he make a move on you? He's definitely gay." So fucking here's Dottie marching across the goddamn hall, knocking on the door, being like, "Are you gay?" And he's like, "I am kind of happy. Yeah, I think so." And then they have she's like, no, like, do you like men? He's like, "Oh yeah, like most of my friends are men. I have a couple female friends, but like my male friends are really good and all." And so they have this banter back and forth. And then she's like, no, like, "Are you a homosexual?" And he's like, "Oh, gay." "No, I'm not gay." She's like, "Okay," and then leaves. And then she's talking to Lindsay, and she's like, "Okay, well maybe he has like a secret marriage for a green card or something." Maybe that's it. So across the hall she goes and knocks on the door and says, "Are you in like a green card marriage?" And he's like, No, I think I would know if I was in that. "No, I'm not in that." She's like, "Okay." Marches across back the hall. Lindsay's like, "I got this, like, what was the other idea?"
I don't
A
even
virgin.
remember.
It was a virgin. He's like,
No.
"He's probably a virgin." She's like, "There's no way he's a virgin." She's like, "He's probably a virgin." Marches across the hall. "Are you a virgin?" And he's like, "No, I lost my virginity to a very nice lady at the age of 15 named, I can't remember her name." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then leaves because like she asked him, "Why didn't you kiss me?" And do you remember like his response?
No.
It was like, "What is kissing? What do we like kissing? People, men, women, they kiss, and that's the thing they do." And like he didn't have an answer. He was just being an idiot. And
Again.
so and so like this whole frustration thing, and this prompted like the questions.
Yes.
And then finally she's like, "I just give up. Like you're just not into me." "Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine." And then that's it. And then a
He
little
kisses her.
bit later, there's a knock on her door, and she's like, "Oh, God, it's got to be him. What the hell?" And then he opens the door and pushes her against the door, and then tongue fucks her in her mouth hole. And she's like, "Okay." And he's like, "The reason I didn't kiss you at the cabin is because I'm a fucking pussy. I'm sorry." And then that's like, and then as you can imagine, whoop, it's all downhill from there.
But then he's like super sweet about it too.
So then they like date, like good and proper.
Yep.
They go to the amusement park.
Oh yeah.
I wrote this one down. The matching shirts.
Right.
Do you remember the fucking shirts?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Her shirt said, "His muscles are mine."
No.
And his shirt said, "Her nips are for my fingertips." And they got a lot of dirty
gosh.
stares, obviously. And then they were also like bright green shirts or bright neon or whatever.
Orange
Just
or something,
insane. Whatever, very bright. And this is the point I should point out too. The lineup is his charity for children specifically with disabilities who couldn't otherwise play sports without having like some sort of.
It allows teams to get equipment that allows kids with various disabilities to be able to play on, because his brother is cerebral palsy.
Because his twin brother Joseph is he has cerebral palsy, he always had. And when he was in high school, he wanted to play on the baseball team, but he couldn't. But then Jason's coach made a spot for Joseph on the team to be a pinch runner because he has a walker he uses. And so he scored I think it was 15 runs over his career in baseball. And so that was a huge, huge, huge driving force for Jason to continue that work going forward when he went through the farm league and all that stuff. And so getting signed with the Rebels specifically, part of his contract was they were going to help out with the charity events and had a permanent seat for his brother to come to the games because it was local now. And just they were very helpful in all of those things. So when they are at the amusement park, they go on a bunch of roller coasters. It's a whole thing. I know. They're a whole thing. And he's playing games and he wins this big Tweety bird or something, a huge stuffy. And then obviously they're not going to keep it. So he specifically goes and finds a little girl who has Downs and gives her the Tweety bird. And the parents are floored by this.
I know.
And they take pictures and he signs a napkin for them and stuff. And he's just the sweetest boy.
Is he super famous? They would know who he is?
Yes, they absolutely know who he is.
So it wasn't just some random guy.
No,
which still would be super
especially
sweet.
well. And so he's from Chicago originally, and so getting traded back to a local team, even though it wasn't the Bobbies, which everyone loves. But it was still the Rebels, and so it was a really big deal that this was happening, and everybody knew about it, so they knew he was back in town.
And again,
and she's standing there my ovaries just fucking exploded. What is this man? So genuinely good.
When I might start to cry. When I started the book, it was because his brother, you find out what the lineup is and all that stuff. I was fuck.
The sweetest man on planet Earth.
Well, and this is a game I've got skin in. I've got my son has autism, and it hit me a certain way because of that. And
he is supporting people like your son to get to enjoy their lives to their full capacity.
Yeah, and it was just
it's just so fucking
endearing,
amazing.
And just
you love to see it.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
And for Meghan Quinn to write a character specifically for that kind of thing, it's just
my
heart's gonna explode.
But you know what, too? In the duets, that was one of the things in the duets is one of Rory's brother was autistic, and a big part of her thing was that she had to be around for her brothers. And I just I love when it fits in a way that's not performative.
Oh, it's seamless.
Yeah, and it's
it's natural.
Yeah,
because it should be.
It's organic, and it's very much
showing. It gives me the feel goods.
Yeah, in a big way, and it's especially where my son played softball this year too, and it was just
I know, I went to his game. I was there. Auntie Vargy showed up.
Yep. Yes, she did. And got mad at me when I laughed when he beat in the head.
Jesus.
Anyway. What happened? he got hit in the head with a ball.
And you laughed at him?
I didn't laugh at him when it happened. I laughed
after. And everybody knew because you have quite a laugh.
And everybody knew.
No, not everybody knew.
And then Rachel said, Ashton, stop laughing. And then you stopped laughing.
He was fine.
Oh, yeah.
Just so we're all
he was
clear.
fine. It was anyway, it's softball and they're kids. It's okay. And he had a helmet, obviously. Gosh, where do we go from here? So
she wants the D.
She wants the D real bad.
But he doesn't want to give her
And he doesn't
D.
want to give her the D because he's you need to
know that I'm in this.
Know that I'm in this for you, not for who you are.
Yeah.
But for who you are.
Yeah.
Not what you are. And so he wants her to trust him as a person, and not be, because she's been used in the past by one of her exes. He was a horrible person, and basically embezzled money from the company, and all this shit. It was wild. It was so wild.
Bad.
And he was she was the one he was cheating on his girlfriend with. in order to do this embezzlement scheme. Like, it was a whole fucking thing.
Ooh.
And so, like, and it really dented her reputation with her father even too. And just in general, because again, like, oh my God, women are fragile, and it's like, get fucked. Men are assholes is what it is. So
Just try not to get assaulted.
don't be a piece of shit.
Why were you wearing that skirt?
Stab.
So does he know that she told
No,
the people that
buddy,
they've
we're
been
getting
together?
We're getting there.
Listen, there's got to be Meghan Quinn. God love you, but there's got to be a fucking third act breakup. I know the cringe. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Not all books need third act breakups.
You're not wrong. You're not
Just-
wrong.
just
There's so
putting that out
many.
there.
There's so many great books that don't. This one hit me hard. Okay, so the D. I'm gonna skip over some stuff, but
Well, she's gonna read the D anyway.
she's gonna read some of the D. Yeah. Finally, she like wears them down, but that's where the boobs McGee comes
Yeah.
in, because she's like playing hardball, as it were. In that he's
She'd
like
to play with his.
well,
hardball.
and he's like, we're not doing it. We're not doing it until blah 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 blah. Stop playing games. And she's like, okay, cool, fine. And then she wears like some shit to bed, and he's like, well, fine. We're just gonna fucking do this then, aren't we?
And then he turns on
Whew.
Daddy Jason.
He's fucking well. I'm gonna read a text message real quick, actually. To that effect. I can't stop thinking about the way you squirted all over my face this morning, Dottie. 1, I did not squirt all over your face. Jesus Christ. 2, I didn't squirt. I just came really hard. Babe, that was a straight up squirt. You scored air on it, at least a few inches. Why do you insist upon making my face turn bright red while I'm at work? Because it's fun for me. Send me a picture while you're at it, and send a picture of your naked tits too. Mommy misses her daddy's boobies. Please, for the love of God, pause and read that last sentence. You are deranged.
I laughed.
This is
so
over
hard.
between us. I can't possibly see someone who says shit like that. Too far? You think we're on a timeout? Do you hear me? A timeout. I prefer a spanking as punishment. You know, like the spanking I gave you last night. Fuck, babe, you screamed so loud when I came. I have partial hearing damage. Bye, Jason. Wait, don't you want to talk about the scream that ended all the screams? Hello? Dottie? Daddy? I hate you. That's my girl. Have a good day rest of the day. See you tonight. XOXO, my penis and your vagina forever.
Did he say mommy misses
Yes.
daddy's titties?
Yep.
Yes.
Because that's the kind of guy Jason
I
is.
died. I fucking died. I may even have said something in the group chat. I can't remember. I died. I laughed so hard. There were times I thought because I usually listen like in the car while I'm driving, and there were times I thought I was gonna have to fucking pull over. I was like, I can't see because I'm laughing, which is dangerous.
To that effect, there's one more text message I want to read.
Oh god,
That is dangerous.
it was even worse when I was listening to that the soundtrack to an audio or soundtrack to a book that I'd read, and I started crying, and I started crying so hard that I couldn't fucking see. I thought I was gonna have to pull over.
Oh, no, this isn't the text message I want to read. I want to read the idiots part.
Oh, you love that part.
I love this part so much. So this is when they are in the amusement park and they're just like having nice little banter back and forth. He's talking about how much of a burden it is to carry around testicles all the time because they're like holding the future of humanity in them, and it's a big, huge weight to carry.
Uh-huh.
And of course she's like, I have boobs. And he's like, you do. Thank you. That is so true. Can you see me as an old man? We walk through an arch indicating a new land. The carnival game's up ahead. I am hot. Am I hot? Bald? Bet my nutsack is super wrinkly. Isn't it already wrinkly? Scrotums aren't pretty. I beg your pardon. Jason brings his hand to his chest in total shock. The color of his face coming back as his quirky personality starts to awaken. Scrotums were carved by God and placed on a man on his own personal baby Bjorn. Day in and day out, men are carrying the future of the world's children between their legs. It's a struggle every day keeping them safe, making sure we don't zip them up after we pee, protecting their intelligence from incoming kicks and punches. Women bitch and complain about having to carry a baby for 9 months in their belly. Try a lifetime of carrying a dangling sack between your legs with the fear of getting punched every day by a pencil. I can't. Why? Why do these thoughts cross his mind? And why does he voice them in such an oddly charming way? I'm laughing, but also funnily appalled at the same time. Instead of defending the obvious and getting into an absurd debate that will only result in him going on a playful tirade of nursing his unborn children, I give him a simple answer. The sacrifices men make. Unbelievable. You should have your dick sucked every night for your heroism. I could not agree more, he says, chest puffed out, as if he won. Then again, sticking your dick into a woman's mouth is like shoving your children into the belly of the beast, letting your unborn kin be swallowed whole while you welcome the all-consuming pleasure from it. Maybe you're not as heroic as you think you are. There, take that, Jason. I smile coyly to myself. God created blowjobs for one reason, so men can dispense the moronic sperm. I did not see that coming. Okay. So if that's your theory, then how do you explain the people on this earth who stick their heads in microwaves and think it's funny? Easy. Their dads didn't do a good enough job seeking out blowjobs. I'm not saying we're all perfect, but I'm sure as hell saying that I am. Which, by the way, he stops and lifts my chin, but doesn't kiss me. Thanks for swallowing my idiots yesterday. You did the world a service. I love this man.
But why do they need to be why do they need to be swallowed? Why couldn't he just like jerk off into a rag?
Because you have to get rid of them.
Yeah, but they get rid of them in the rag.
Ashton.
They can come back unless they're swallowed.
Thanks
down the drain
for swallowing my idiots.
Yesterday.
Okay.
Put them down the drain like a normal person.
So, gosh, I think that's a good kind of highlight of Jason's personality. We'll get into the smexy times in a second when I get Jack to read something. But to wrap all this up, though, so
he's cooking naked.
So she is going to be hosting a dinner for this potential client, where they're hoping to like seal this deal, this big, huge, ridiculous deal. And Jason has offered to cook for it. And she still has not told him about the situation where
They've
She
been
lied.
together
she
for 4
lied.
years.
Yeah, she lied about them being together for 4 years. So he's cooking dinner. He's cooking this big ham fancy dinner. And she goes off into the shower or whatever. And an email dings on her laptop. And the message title is Jason. And so he hears the ding and he goes, because he thinks it's a timer or something. So he turns his head like, what the hell? And he sees that his name is in the subject line. And of course he goes and reads that email. And the email is from her dad. And it's her dad being like, I feel really bad for using Jason. And like, this is like how this dinner's going to go and all this stuff. And so all he gets is out of that is that he's being used by her. And that this relationship is fake.
Right.
When he starts playing it back. Like, oh, that's why she was acting weird, and like,
She figures it all out.
and admittedly,
He thinks he does.
well, and admittedly, the miscommunication trope is like my least, if not one of my least favorite, because it needs to be so nuanced. Like, there are so many ways it can go wrong in a way that's like, that's childish, that's dumb, and I was like, oh no, because you can tell, you know, the minute the email comes in, you know the direction it's going. It's like, you don't have to be rocket scientist to figure this out. But the way
You also know the second that she tells the people.
yeah, oh yeah,
that
hands
it's gonna
down.
go wrong.
So, but the email itself is not written in a way that's like, that's unrealistic. Like, the wording sucks big time, but it's also not like, a person would never say that. It like, I think Meghan Quinn did a good job at making it seem realistic and not like completely blown out of proportion too. Like, miscommunication tends to be super, you know what I mean?
This is how the email reads. Dottie, I'm assuming everything is set for tonight. I have all the confidence in the world that you can close this deal. As for Jason, how did he take the news about your fake relationship? I'm assuming okay if he's willing to go along with tonight. I still feel uncomfortable about you using him for the dinner, but as long as he's in the know, that's all that matters. Knock them dead, kid. Love you, Dad.
Yeah.
So that like
It doesn't read like
It doesn't read malicious or like, oh God.
But it also reads as an email that somebody would send. Like,
Yeah.
it's not unrealistic to expect somebody like it. Because you know, you get those emails. You're like, or those miscommunication points where you're like, that would never fucking happen, or like, really, like that's the direction you took that, or like those kinds of things. Like that seemed like a very to the point, straight. Like maybe dad didn't have all the facts, whatever. But like,
And it's miscommunication only insofar that she did not tell him the truth.
and it's nuanced. It's like
it's also to her character
yes,
that she didn't, because part of her issue is that she can't trust people.
yes,
And so the reason she can't trust people has to do with that ex-boyfriend, and she's taking that out on Jason.
yeah.
And
By
so,
not letting him in.
By not letting him in.
the
And
way.
so obviously he like flips his shit and leaves
And burns the ham.
and burns the ham. Anyway. He has that's the opening of the book, is the scene where he burns the ham. They do like the throwback thing. So he has a fit, he leaves. Obviously he like yells at her to be like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? And she's like, let me explain. He's like, no, bye. Like, you should know how this feels. This is what happened to you. Somebody used you. And then here I am, you're using me. You know exactly how I feel right now. Bye.
But
And
again,
left.
not unrealistic.
No, completely to the
Like-
point. And especially like where Meghan Quinn built his character up to be very emotional and to be attuned with his emotions too. It's like, it's not like he is, number one, he's right. Number two, it's very true to his character. And number three, like the fact that he felt it so hard, it fits perfectly with the story and him.
But also the reason that she did it is not unrealistic. Like,
Correct.
there's
yeah.
nothing about it that feels like this was forced, because a lot of times miscommunication just feels forced.
Yeah. And so here's where we get into like the epic character development of Dottie, because now all the shit hits the fan. She comes clean to the client. She obviously is like losing Jason. And her two
Integrity.
best friends, Lindsay and Emery, are like, you fucked up. Why didn't you tell him? Like, we thought you told him about it, because they knew. Why the hell did you never say anything to him? Like, holy shit, Dottie, like you fucked up real bad and you hurt him. And they're like, we're both on team Jason on this. Like, you got to sort this out. She's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you need to figure that out yourself. And so like they're making her take ownership of it. And admittedly, like reading that text exchange amongst all of them was like some of the most, I don't know, man. Like I get the secondhand embarrassment, but I also get like the secondhand emotions on that stuff. And it's so fucking heavy. And like the last like quarter of this book, it's like it hits me in the heart so hard.
It was supportive of their friend, but also like it's supportive of their friend in two different ways. It was like supportive of them being like, we still love you, but you also fucked
You
up.
fucked up real bad.
Yeah.
And it's like that level of brutal honesty
Yep.
is something you can only have with certain friends. And so like them having that relationship together is like, it's such a beautiful thing, but it's also like, right in my guts. And you're like, Jesus, here we go. Like,
You mean like when you
shit's
call your
off.
friend dumb? Tell your
Yeah,
friend that
it's
they're
when
dumb?
you tell your friend they're dumb. It's kind of like that. So she like, Dottie just fucking
Owns it.
all of it. She tells the client what happened.
Yep.
She
Steps
resigns
down.
from her job, and from her dad's company.
Yep.
She's moving back to California.
She also
Jesus, talk about like over fucking punishing yourself.
Well, but here's the thing. So because she wants to start fresh, but at the same time, she also recognizes that she real fucked up, and she hurt Jason in a bad way, like to the point of like he will not talk to her. And even like when he sees her and she's like trying to communicate like this hurt that she inflicted upon him, and she's like agonizing over this, it hurts him to watch her, and it enrages him to that point. But it's not even like, because it even reads as like he's mad at her, he's mad at what happened in the situation, but he's also like he's like heartbroken that she's in such a state, because she's
still cares
heartbroken.
about her.
Oh my god, it's intense.
but he still doesn't know like what actually happened.
He does, like she gets parts of it. He gets parts of it, but
she
like
shows up at his game. Like he has that.
okay, so she's gonna move back because she doesn't want to be like, there's gonna be all these family gatherings and friend gatherings and stuff going forward, and she doesn't want to be that person that like puts a damper on all of it and stuff. So she takes herself out of the equation altogether. And then the lineup is having this big celebrity event where they bring kids in from the local community who have disabilities, and like big names, celebrities, and baseball players and stuff, and having this whole thing.
It's like a
And
charity.
It's a big
game.
charity event where they're trying to like raise money.
Yeah.
And they do raise a bunch of money. Since Dottie had resigned, before that, she had asked her father, because they pick a charity every year and do a big thing.
Yeah.
She had asked her father to do the lineup this year. And so she herself, like the company, donated $1 million to his cause, which is like a huge amount of money for this.
And she showed up in person to give it to him.
And she showed up in person, and she was wearing, do you remember? She was wearing
Pink oven mitts.
no, she was wearing a Rebels hat.
Yeah.
And they had this conversation of like, he's like, okay, straight up, this is like the first date they ever officially go on. He's like, okay, I need to ask this question. If ever like when you come to my games, will you wear the Rebels jersey? Because she's a Bobby's fan. Will you wear the Rebels jersey? And she said no. He's like, okay, what if we're like moving in together? And she's like, no, I can't do it. What if we're married? She's like, I don't think so. And he's like, okay, what if we have 6 kids together? She's like, I don't want to pop out 6 kids. He's like, they're all adopted from different parts of the world. So save that. And then like he like builds this entire like vision of their future together. And she's like, I'll consider it. So she rolls up to this event after they've broken up, and she's like obviously still madly in love with him, and she's wearing the fucking Rebels hat. And like my heart of hearts, I'm just like breaking down inside, trying to like just remembering it, because I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, it's so sad.
That makes me think of when he shows up at Knox and Emery's apartment, and he's like, I'm gonna be a dad, and they're like, what? And he's like, eventually
at some point, because and it's basically his way of telling them like, I'm madly in love with this girl, and we're gonna have a big old future together. And so it's like, it's him just telling them they were dating. It was a while back.
So it's not when they get back together.
No. God. Anyway, this is agonizing. Reading this through a second time, I get those things where I'm like, I really hope this book changed this time around, because
Like
my
Gravity?
my heart can't deal with this shit. It just fucking can't. And Gravity, exactly like Gravity. I only get it with rom-coms, like really heavy ones too. And I'm like, I can't.
Well, when he showed up at the party and he was like wearing the sweater, and somebody made fun of his sweater, so he took the sweater off, and Knox is like, I really like the sweater, and he's like, are you just saying that to maybe put the sweater back on?
No, I'm not at all. He puts it back on. It's an ugly sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason's obviously a big mopey man mope.
Yeah.
And so they have Friendsgiving is the party you're talking about. This was like after the event, because during the event he's just like, he takes the check from her. Obviously he's like, I don't like, is this you trying to buy me? And she's like, obviously I didn't do a good enough job trying to express to you how I felt about you, because no, of course this isn't.
And that was when it was like 10 years later, and I was like, seriously, again?
But then
no more.
That's how the chapter starts, but it's from Jason's perspective, and he's a fucking dramatic bitch.
Yeah.
And so like there's a new start to the chapter afterwards, like
Curse
a couple
is like,
down.
It's been like 10 days.
He's like, it's been 10 days. And he's like, sorry, 10 days later, I realized that was a little dramatic. So, God. Anyway.
No more time jumps.
So they're at this Friendsgiving thing. And he's like, mopey man mope. And it was, what's her, Mama G? She's
Knox's mom.
It's Knox's mom. I can't remember her name. Anyways, Knox's mom, basically, who's like the team mom of all, like the mom.
She's so awesome.
Squared. And so she's basically like, she just straight up calls him an idiot. She's like, you're being dumb. Because she listens to the whole thing. They were together for like a month or whatever. And she's like, this is obviously the love of your life. You're going to let it go. So stop being an idiot. And he like takes that to heart.
Knox has the conversation too with them, doesn't he? About like what happened between him and Emery, and like.
So at this party, this is where he finds out that she's like leaving. Gone. Like she's not coming back.
Yeah.
And so he goes mopey man mope to the extreme and stays home for several days and doesn't come out. And then finally Knox goes over and he's like, all right, listen, do you want
to be right, or do you want to be happy?
Correct. Because he's like, you love this girl. She's like the love of your life. This is it. I realize that like she hurt you, but like you have to be able to get through this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wasted 10 years being right. I wasted 10 years not being happy.
Emery left him.
Yeah.
Because in the first book, she finds out that he's gonna get drafted after so many years. He's not coming back for his final year, and she's like, no, he needs to take this seriously. So she breaks up with him so he can focus on baseball. But then they still keep sleeping together until he goes off and plays baseball. But they still stay friends, and they text each other back and forth, like at birthdays and stuff like that, until they finally meet each other again at some like fucking school event or something like that. So he's all like, I wasted 10 years. And he blames her for it because she's the one that made the choice. So that's where do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And he says he wasted those 10 years when he could have just been happy with her if he had have like fought for it instead of like rolling over and being like, okay.
And so this is the convo he has with Jason of like speaking from experience, obviously. So Jason admittedly
is an idiot,
goes to her office on the last day when she's like basically closing up, packing everything, her car's packed, like, and he brings her like, here's some stuff you left at my apartment.
Oh, fuck off.
And it's like, it's stupid shit, Jack.
Oh,
it's like
fuck
a
off.
shampoo and like a shirt or something, like stupid shit.
Yeah,
that
like
she would have noticed that she lost or
like
left.
a quarter bottle of shampoo.
Yeah.
And like an old toothbrush.
But he goes there specifically because he wants to ask her to stay. And he just fucking chicken shits out at the end and can't do it. Because all he can think about is this betrayal that she had inflicted on him. And he just couldn't do it. So she leaves. She like balls her fucking face off too at that point. She leaves. And the part that got me, and so I read this book twice, okay? Very seldom do I read a book that actually makes me fucking cry. I cried twice.
You're
okay?
welcome.
Like the first time I read this book, I cried in this spot, and the second time through, I'm like, I'm crying at this fucking spot again. Why is this so emotional to me?
Oh.
The part that got me was like at the end of it all. It's like, so they've had like potentials to rectify this situation again and again and again and again, and it just like they just never got there.
It's like them trying to fuck again or kiss or whatever.
And so Emery and Knox are standing outside their apartment building, which is where Jason lives. Dottie shows up in the moving van, and she's standing there talking with them, like, you know, gonna whatever. And she keeps looking towards the door to see if Jason's gonna come down and stop her, basically.
Yeah.
And she's having this conversation with Emery, and Emery, she's like, no, I'll get over it, whatever. And Emery looks her straight in the eye, and she's like, then why are you crying?
Yeah.
Because she's got tears coming down her face.
Like, he's not here, sweetie.
And then she's
here.
like, Jason's not here. He's in the Bahamas on vacation
with his sister.
And she's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just leave then. And she's just like fucking tears the whole time, and gets in her vehicle and just starts driving to fucking California. Yeah. And then obviously cut to
Rachel's gonna cry.
Shut up. No, stop. Cut to Bahamas, where Jason is sitting with his sister.
Are you feeling emotional?
A little bit. Emotional damage. Where
Yep.
So cut to where Jason's sitting on the beach with his sister, and he's like, yo, when is your husband showing up? And she's like, actually, we've been separated for 6 months.
Ansel,
And
fucking
he's like,
Ansel.
What? And she's like, you're the first person I told. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, no, stop. We're dealing with your shit right now. Why didn't you stop Dottie from leaving?
We'll deal with my shit in the next book.
Yeah. She's like, no. She's like, no, you're trying to distract. What is going on here? Like, why did you let her go? And like, so obviously she is the convo from her perspective of having this marriage. Like, they were like childhood sweethearts, like in junior high, they started dating. And so her and her husband, like, they got married young, and they like grew up, like, it's been years, because I think she's a younger sister, so she would still, like, they had been together for over 10 years. And
why are you in the Bahamas with your sister, man?
well, actually, they make a joke about that, Jack, which is like because they're calling them Mr. and Mrs. Orson.
Oh.
But he's like, that's my sister, stop. But
That's amazing.
so obviously she talks him into like, what the fuck, you're like, don't waste. If you know that she's the one, like, go for that dude. Like, don't waste your time.
Do the thing.
And just like, if you can never see yourself as somebody else, then that's the one. And anyways, it's a whole thing. So obviously he flies out to fucking California.
I have the fucking OC theme song in my head now. Do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do, California. I never even watched the fucking show.
I think
Didn't?
Nope.
so. I think actually the conversation he has with Knox, I think, happens when he gets back from Bahamas, because that's what triggers him to go out to California.
Doesn't it happen when he? Yeah, but he also goes to her office before she leaves too, to have the conversation, and he just chicken shits it out, and then his sister gives him shit, and then Knox gives him shit, and then he goes to California.
So then he goes out to California.
And he shows up on her doorstep.
He shows up on her doorstep, and her mother answers the door, and she's like, looks him up and down, and be like, "You must be Jason."
And then he goes
She's out back.
and she's crying.
She's like already fucking bawling her eyes out, just sitting there with her tea or whatever on the back deck, wrapped up in a shawl or whatever, just crying.
As one does.
I mean, like, yeah, of course, because like this is her like just exploding as a human. Like she, well, no, like, but
Human
think about
implosion.
but seriously, like she like left her job. She like admitted she was wrong. Like she tore down all these barriers around herself.
But then she's going to be a boss babe and teach other women how to be boss babes.
So they have their conversation finally, where she's like, "Will you let me explain?" And he's like, "Yes." Finally, he's like, "I'll let you explain." And of course, they have their heartfelt, like they have it out, and they get back together and they get married and whatever.
California.
Did
they get married?
Do you remember the proposal it's like the epilogue where he proposes to her? She is going to be throwing the first pitch at his opener.
Oh, yes.
Because he's like, freshly traded, and they made this whole event, and like he even talked to the front of house at the Rebels, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll totally facilitate this for you." And so she throws the pitch, and then he catches it, obviously, and then he like runs out to the mound to give her the ball back, but then he like drops to his knees and proposes to her like on live TV, and like everyone loses their fucking minds, obviously, because they love him, and it's a whole thing. It's adorable.
It's funny too because he works with the like all-star game that he's trying to put together for his charity. He works with a guy who I think plays for the Bobbies for his position. Walker, yeah. And everybody's like, their roles should be reversed. But Walker's all like, I don't want people to know that I'm doing like all this stuff. And
he has his own book.
Yeah, the last one. His isn't the last one though.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how that goes.
He's an interesting character because he has quite a backstory, I think, too.
I was hoping that he would be in the next one, but the next one's Corey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Corey and Natalie.
Who,
like, again, was married and then separated for 6 months, and nobody knows that yet.
Well, Corey thinks that
Corey, because Corey, as far as he knows, she's been married and is married, but he's got like a massive crush on her. And anyway.
Corey Potter, Millie's brother.
Jacqueline.
So, before you make me read awkward things.
What's up?
So she moves back then to Chicago?
Okay, so what happens is she starts her own company where she's training women to be CEOs, basically.
Boss babes.
And
beach bodies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's her fault.
What?
Never mind.
Okay. Is that a thing with beach bodies, boss babes?
Girl, that's an MLM everything thing.
Boss babes?
Yes.
Well, I retract my previous statement.
Not a sponsor.
Boss bitches.
So she can do this job remotely. So, because Jason has to go to training camp even, so she like goes to training camp. So she goes to training camp with him in Florida and stuff. So they travel together basically. Like anytime he has to go somewhere, she goes with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Mama G's name is Mama Gentry because that knocks Gentry.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just in case anybody was concerned.
Jacqueline, are you ready?
Yes.
I don't think you are, but we're gonna go.
Are you ready for me, Dottie? Yes, she moans, her pelvis rotating, seeking relief. Touch yourself. Let me see how wet you are on your fingers. Without hesitation, she drags her fingers down her body to her pussy. With 2 fingers, she swipes over her slit and then holds them up to me. I walk over and closely examine them, and then I pull them into my mouth, sucking on the tips, making Dottie's eyes widen. Get on all fours. I want to see you when you fuck me. You will, but on your knees for now. She does as I say, and I take my time to take in her pert ass, how the nightgown fabric barely skims her skin. Normally I like to be completely naked, but the nightgown has now become a part of this. I step up behind her and slide my hand over the globe of her ass and then to her lower back, dragging her nightgown with it until it hits her shoulder blades. Circling my hand to the front, I find her breast and cup it, giving it a few squeezes as I line my rock-hard erection along her ass. Do you feel that, Dottie? Do you feel how fucking hard I am? That's because of you. Whenever you're around, you do this to me. You entice me, intrigue me, make me so goddamn horny with need. That's why I'm about to fuck you into this mattress, because I can't take your teasing any longer. But if we're going to do this, we're going to do this on my terms. I pinch her nipple and she rears back on a scream. Oh God, Jason. With my free hand, I run my finger along the nub, testing how wet she is. She's soaking, but I'm not about to give in. Instead, I stroke her lightly, pretending my finger is a feather, keeping the pressure as soft as a whisper so she knows I'm down there. But I'm down there for one purpose, to torture her. With my dick still rubbing against her ass, I continue to pinch her nipples and stroke her until she lowers her head to the mattress and groans out in frustration. Jason, she cries out, please. Please what? Please fuck me. Satisfied, I release my grip and flip her to her back. The shocked look soon subsides when I tear her nightgown over her head and then place both my hands on her knees. I spread them wide and take a look at her, completely exposed. Smooth skin stretches over her body, skin I want my mouth all over. Are you on the pill? She nods. Good, because I want nothing between us. I bring my aching cock to her entrance and move it up and down along her wetness, coating my dick in her arousal. I love seeing your aroused pussy on my dick. I love seeing how wet you get from my touch, just from looking at me. I rub her again and she shifts, trying to get me to enter her. How many times do you plan on coming tonight, Dottie? As many as you'll allow me. Perfect answer. I slide my hands down to her inner thighs and drop to my knees. Keeping her spread, I bring my face down to her pussy and flick my tongue along her clit. Oh fuck, she cries out, her hands gripping the comforter. I don't know how much I can take. Are you begging me to eat your pussy, Dottie? Yes, please, Jason, yes. Fuck, I love hearing my name fall off your tongue like that. So desperate, so needy. Not wasting any more time, I move my mouth to her pussy, open wide, and suck her in right before swirling my tongue over her clit, over and over and over again. I'm vibrating my tongue, flicking, swirling, pressing down on her clit, and then of course sucking on it. She rides on the mattress, her shoulders twisting and turning, her mouth falling open, her eyes squeezing shut. Her hands drop to my head, her fingers digging into my hair, pulling, tugging, trying to grip anything as I hold her hips to the mattress, not letting her set the pace, but letting me control when she comes. Fuck, Jason, please. Jesus, please. I pull away and lightly kiss the inside of her thighs, moving back to her mound and above, then back. Flick my tongue, swirl, pull back, kiss her thigh, and repeat. Her arm flies over her eyes, and I'm almost positive she's about to cry from sweet torture. It's in that moment that I realize I have her right where I want her. With my thumbs, I spread her lips and flatten my tongue against her clit, giving her long strokes with medium pressure, enough to make her come in seconds. She screams out my name as she heaves up and down, her body twisting and turning until she calls out for me to slow down. I can't. Take. Oh, God. I flick her clit again and her hips drive forward. So fucking responsive. It's sexy as shit. When her body settles, I bring her legs up to her chest and say, hold on to your knees. Keep them wide. Eyes still watery from her orgasm, her breath trying to catch up. Her hands reach out, shaky and unsteady, and she grips her knees, spreading herself wide. Perfect. I hover over her body and bring my mouth to hers, where I very softly kiss her along her lips. I reach up and cup her cheek, allowing my thumb to stroke her cheek a few times. You're gorgeous, Dottie. So fucking beautiful. She presses her cheek into my hand, and for a second we share an intimate moment as my dick lines up against her wet pussy, tempting me, begging me to thrust deep inside her. I wait a few more seconds, marveling in the way her soft lips play with mine. Are you ready for me? She nods. Good, because I need to be inside you like I need my next breath. I grip the base of my aching cock and position it at her entrance. Slowly I start to enter her, taking it one painstakingly inch at a time. Shit, Jason, she says, her mouth falling open and her eyes widening. Slow. She swallows hard. I need you to go slow. And I need to go fucking fast or my dick might just break off, but I understand. I'm larger than most, so I grin down and bear the sweet torture. Relax, Dottie. I know, she nods, taking another deep breath. Feels so good, but unlike anything... She moans when I push forward another inch. Unlike anything I've ever felt. I can say the same about her. Warm and tight, like I'm dipping myself into heaven. Wanting her to relax, I drop my mouth to hers and take one of her breasts in my hand. I massage and pinch her nipple while I trail kisses over her mouth, to her jaw, down her neck, and back up. I slip in another inch, and then another, as I feel her relax with each pass of my mouth, until I'm fully inside her, and fuck, does it feel good. Christ, I whisper in her ear. Dottie, I need to pump my hips. She nods. I need that too. Thank fuck. Lifting up with my arms pressed to the mattress, I start to piston my hips in and out, but keeping it relatively slow, drawing my attention to our connection. So hot. Watching my dick slide in and out of her, claiming her, sends a jolt of lust through my veins, causing my hips to move even faster. Then she moans, her hands falling to my shoulders where she pierces me with her nails. The sensation of her pussy squeezing my cock and her nails digging into my skin sends me into overdrive. My toes start to go numb, and my impending orgasm is just out of reach. Fuck, I grunt, pumping harder and harder. Ah, fuck, Dottie. She pulls my head down to hers and drives her tongue into my mouth. I match her intensity, each thrust, each lick, until we're both tensing together. My head falls to her shoulder as she cries out my name, her pussy clenching around me, her hips erratically flying with mine. That's all it takes. My body seizes and I spill inside her, my pelvis stilling as euphoria shoots through me, touching every limb, every nerve ending, every goddamn part of my body until I collapse on top of her. Jesus fucking Christ, I mumble, reeling from what just happened between us. Jason, I get what she's trying to say because I'm feeling the same damn way. I've never felt anything like that before. I've had sex, plenty of it, but the connection we share, the way she listened, relinquished herself to me, fully trusting her body into my hands, it was a combination of so many untapped sensations that I'm not sure I'll fall off this high easily. Nor am I going to be able to let go of this woman. Tough as stone on the outside, soft and sweet on the inside, with a need to be taken care of. She's fucking perfect. I press a kiss to her cheek and rest there with her wrapped around me. Together we catch our breath, and then we spend the rest of the night snuggling. Fuck, this is almost too good to be true. I found her. My woman. My future.
Blech. Oh,
My woman.
He found his future.
he found future. That's the gal.
It was hiding underneath the couch.
She was there the whole time. So, thanks for that, Jack.
Under the couch?
Yeah, right beside the man thongs. So, it's very interesting, like, listening to that again after reading those text messages and his comments about swallowing idiots, because, like, when he gets into bedroom time, he, like, flips a switch into, like, alpha mode, and he's like super serious about it. It's a whole thing.
Daddy energy.
Well, it's very funny because then he calls her daddy, and that was the. Anyways, it's very. I love it. It's a good contrast. So we're at the rating part of the episode. So I guess like was it the sports ball? So like what 9 innings? Do you want to base it on innings?
9
Sports ball has
butts.
9 innings. Oh, there's only one butt that matters, Ashton. We can't, and it doesn't. It's a 10 out of 10 butt. So like I can't. we can't pick that. So we'll go with innings. We'll rate out of 9. Straight. I'm 8 innings. Like they're all tops and bottoms. So I'll have all of them, please. Thank you.
Lesbian Fight Clubs.
Amazing. I love Meghan Quinn books. I love them. The rom-com, the banter, all of it, and even like I generally hate miscommunication. I hate third act breakups. I hate all those things. And
it's like, what other Meghan Quinn book did you read? Not So Meet Cute.
yes,
Right.
Her writing is wonderful. Her characters are just beautiful. Like so well-rounded and so well put together. And I just like it was great. And it was fun. It was such a fun read.
Yeah.
It
made Rachel cry.
I hate that it made me cry not once but twice. And I even knew what was going to happen. And the second time through, I was still like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Rachel? Get your shit together." So I just like, it's been a week, and so that didn't help. And I'm just like, fucking. So like to make a book that makes me like laugh out loud so many times.
I literally
And
made
then-
you listen to part of this the last time we came up here.
Yes,
Because I was like, no, you have to hear this. It's fucking
it's
hilarious.
bonkers. It's such a good book. And yeah, Jason's a great. Dottie's a lovely character. I like her a lot. And so yeah, like 8. I might even say 8, and then like top of the 9th. Easily. So like an 8.5. Easy.
Damn.
Damn.
Good book. Well done, Meghan Quinn. Amazing. Jack, what do you got?
Is Meghan Quinn going to be our new patron saint?
I'm not gonna lie, Meghan Quinn knocked Tessa Bailey out of the fucking like. I know Tessa Bailey's not our patron saint, but like,
It was Katie Robert. We can always have a second season patron saint. We can switch it up.
Megan Quinn just went, "Oh, Tessa, who now? I'm sorry. Move the fuck
I'm sorry.
over."
Did you want
I'm
quirky,
just
lovely
kidding.
men?
I'm just kidding
and
about Katie. Oh my gosh.
strong, dynamic
Katie Roberts, she'll never be dethroned.
We can have more than
No,
one.
I wasn't talking about Katie.
That's the thing about patron saints is that there's more than one of them.
the saint of different things.
Yeah.
Megan Quinn is our patron saint of rom-coms.
Yeah, nailed it easily.
Done.
I can easily say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks, Meghan Quinn. If you ever want to, have a chat with us, we'd love to have you on. Jack, did you have a rating for
Slash
that?
fangirl everywhere.
Oh my God, I would explode. Jack, do you have a rating for that?
I think I'll give it 7 innings.
Okay.
That's high for Jack.
7 full innings.
Yep.
Plus the 7th inning stretch.
Okay. Yeah. That
And
makes sense.
maybe even a box of Cracker Jacks.
That's legit. What about a hot dog? How do you
Ooh, a
feel about-
hot dog.
Yeah, you feel like
And
a
a foam
ballpark?
finger?
Oh, yeah. A foam finger, too.
Okay. That's legit.
But
100%.
not a $17 beer.
Oh my
draw the
God.
line.
That's fair. 100% fair.
Maybe a slushie if they have them. Ooh, shit. We're in Chicago.
Yep.
Definitely Chicago hot dog. Maybe you get a slice of deep dish pizza, too.
Chicago style. The toppings are under
We've
the
gone
cheese
from
is
innings
under
to food.
I mean, Chicago, it evokes big feelings of food. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. Ash, what do you got over there?
I mean, I feel like giving it a full 9 is like.
Do it. You're so mean to all the other books.
How dare you be mean to the books?
I mean, yeah, I'd say probably like I don't see anywhere that I'd be like no, because like the characters are great, and even when the character was annoying, he was still great. And it wasn't like he annoyed me; it was just like
He grew on me though. Like,
yeah. Oh, listen, he's fantastic. It made sense. It wasn't like he was annoying because he was annoying. I mean, he was, but he wasn't. Yeah, I give it a 9. Like it makes me want to read the rest of the books. I will read read the rest of the books. It was of the 3 that I did, it was my favorite, obviously, because I suggested it.
Mhm.
I've admittedly read a lot of Meghan Quinn books, and this one's up there. Like, yeah, this one's up there in the rom-commy ones anyway. I still think I like the duets better, but that's because I like a book that's going to make me cry.
Yeah, fair.
Well, that one goes to extra innings, so it's fine.
Sure. All right. Nine.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for that. I don't have a book to talk about this week. It's been a week.
Have you been watching anything? Or
oh gosh, no.
listening to
I'm really,
anything?
here's the thing. So this comes out in November. So future Rachel, how does Baldur's Gate 3 going? Because current Rachel is amped to play it next week when it comes out on PlayStation. So I hope you're having a great time. So that's my message. I'm playing Baldur's Gate. Goodbye. That's my life. Ash, what are you reading?
Well, because we're talking about a sports ball book, I thought I should talk about a sports ball book that I had read. But it's not just one book. It's 3. I was informed the other day that there is a 4th. So I'm going to have to listen to that or get a hold of that. I did Him, Us, and Epic by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy.
Oh, yes, the 3 genders. Him, us, and Epic.
It's hockey. It's queer.
Yeah, okay. I was like, it's got to be queer romance, isn't it?
Well, I mean, literally all the last 3 I was talking about. Anyway, so Ryan Wesley is this like hotshot hockey player, and he's in university, and their team is getting ready to go and do the Frozen Four, which I've learned all about through Hockey Romance. Thank you. It's like a tournament with the university teams and stuff like that, and so he's getting prepared to go, and they're doing like game tape, and the coach is like, this guy on this team, blah blah blah, and he's like, fuck, I know that guy. That's Jamie Canning, because Jamie and Ryan, who goes by Wesley, were friends, and they used to go to this hockey camp together in Lake Placid, and it all fell apart when they went and did this like shootout thing with each other, and the loser had to suck the winner's dick. And Ryan...
Gay chicken.
Wesley always had a crush on Jamie, but Jamie was straight, and...
spaghetti straight until you put it in water.
So it kind of like ruins their friendship, and they have this whole thing where they like send things back and forth to each other as like gag gifts and stuff like that. And like Ryan ghosted him. So he knows that Jamie's going to be at this hotel, so he goes and gets this gift. He puts it in a box and sends it to Jamie, and they start talking, and he's like, shit. But then he like shows up at Jamie's room, and Jamie's with a girl. So he's like, well, fuck that noise. Anyway, so they end up going back to the hockey camp Jamie's been coaching at the hockey camp for years. Ryan's been asked to do it, but he's never done it. So he contacts the guy who runs the place, and he's like, hey, can I come? And he's like, yeah, of course. And so he ends up doing the coaching thing at the hockey camp with Jamie. They share a room together. They go out drinking,
etc.
Yeah, they go out drinking, and Jamie watches this guy hitting on Wes, and he's like, don't like this.
Not a good Fifi.
Nope, admittedly a little drunk, and then he ends up kissing Wes, and things like, no, from there.
So it's technically like a bi or gay awakening?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, hardcore.
I love those.
And like Wes is like, has anybody ever told you you're sexually adventurous? And Jamie's like, yeah, all the time. Wes is being drafted to Toronto, and
that's the Maple Leafs.
Jamie's being drafted to Detroit, I want to say.
Yes, Red Wings.
And Jamie's going through this whole thing because Jamie plays goalie, and he's like, I'm never going to see ice time. So he's like, do I really want to do this, or do I want to coach? So he talks to the guy who runs the place, and he's like, hey, coaching jobs maybe in the Toronto area, because he and Wes are like doing the pelvic thing, and
the pelvic party.
Listen, it's partying, very much partying, and it's like, yep, you're doing that. And then like Ryan kind of disappears and whatever. Anyway, it's that whole thing. Third act breakup. Jamie finds him in Toronto and is like, let me say my piece.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, it's their like relationship and them trying to figure out their relationship and like all of that. And like Jamie gets sick. Like there's all this stuff that happens. It's just, and there's this one character. Oh my God. He's just like, he's the golden retriever and he moves into the building and he's just always there. And oh my God.
We're just three chums hanging out, being together.
Well, kind of. He doesn't realize he's cock blocking, and Jamie's like,
of course, because they. Yeah.
But Jamie's mom made the mugs that say him, and then on the bottom, because Ryan has a really shitty relationship with his dad, because his dad's a douchehole, is on the bottom because Jamie's mom makes pottery, and on the bottom it says like, we're so happy to have you as part of the family. So like the guy, I can't remember what his name is, but the guy like
He's just oblivious, maybe.
no, he clues in and he's like waiting for them to say, but then they don't say until Jamie gets sick and Wes goes and like Buddy drives Wes. And he's like, just like, anyway, it's so fucking sweet. And like, Wes cares about Jamie so much. And it's hot. And it's adorable. And it's oh my God. They're just fucking, oh my God. It just, they're so cute and sweet. And like, it was like, I read a football one similar to it by S.E. Harmon called like a Blueprint in a Darker Shade of Blue. It was a similar kind of thing.
I have Blueprint on my TBR.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's that similar kind of feeling that like they were friends and then one of them liked the other one, but the other one might have been straight, but maybe they're not so straight and da-da-da-da-da. And like, it was just like the drama was drama, but it wasn't like crazy drama. Like it wasn't super heavy, bog you down kind of thing. And it was so like, oh my God, they're best friends. And they're like best friends who love each other.
They're besties with testes, literally.
Yeah. And then like, oh, it's just so, and like the way Jamie just embraces it all too, and Ryan's damaged, and I mean, I'm a sucker for a damaged boy, we know that. Like, it's just, and he just loves him so much, and like, I'm like kicking myself because it took me so long to actually read it. It's been on my list forever, and I don't know why it took me so long, because Al Kennedy writes a college sports series. I think a couple of them actually. Briar U is one of them, and I can't remember what the other one's called, but they're on my list as well. But I'm like, oh, it's just, I don't know what it is. This is gonna sound super horrible. I do not tend to enjoy hetero friends to lovers.
Okay.
But I really love queer friends to lovers.
It's queer friends lovers with awakening, like gay awakening.
The bi awakening does help for sure, but it's that like, I don't know what it is.
You just love boys and them being all sweet with each other.
I mean, yeah, and there is something about like breaking down that toxic masculinity to have that emotional moment with like, yeah, it was so cute. Like, I wanted to hug them. Like, you know, when you're like, oh, you're working through your stuff, please stop.
You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God.
Mom is so proud of you.
Yes.
Mom is so proud.
Yes. And then it was like, well, that's really awkward because
I'm your new dad. Your daddy's proud of you too.
The smut is smutty, smut. So I'm like, oh, that's hot too. But also like, you're just so adorable. And the guy, oh my God, the friend. And the friend's fighting with Jamie's sister who's visiting. And oh my God, he's just dumb. Like, he's big, dumb, and Canadian. And he's like,
I know some people like that.
Yeah, he's like a Canadian moose. Also, I will say, because I listened to it, you can tell when people are like either from Canada or know people from Canada, or people don't know anybody from Canada based on how they say Toronto.
Yes, you never pronounce the second T in Toronto.
No,
it's Toronto.
Toronto,
not Toronto.
It's Jacob Morgan and Teddy Hamilton with the narrators, and they're fantastic. But one of them said Toronto, and one of them said Toronto, and I was like,
you're telling yourself.
One of you's got Canadian friends.
Yeah,
like, I don't, or maybe you're Canadian yourself. I don't
hilarious.
know, but like that's a thing. Anyway, I'm done.
Nice. Well, thanks, Ash. What was that again?
It's called Him, Us, and Epic. They're 3 different books, and they're by Serena Bowen and Al Kennedy.
Nice. Thank you,
Jacqueline.
Jack. Anything new to talk about?
No, not really.
Cool.
Just, podcastings like usual.
Do you want to play Baldur's Gate with me?
Sure.
Cool. We're going to play Baldur's Gate together.
She needs a PlayStation 5 to do
We'll
that.
sort it out. It's fine.
We'll get you one. They're only like $1,000.
I mean, here's the thing. It's November. That's like 2.5 months away. You got time to come up with that. It's
yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? She could win the lottery by then.
Me too.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I won the lottery.
Manifest that shit.
Yeah, you
We're
manifest
recording this episode in the Bahamas with
Ugh, that sounds terrible. I hate the heat.
Jason. What?
Baseball butt.
Baseball butt. The next time we are back, we are reading a book called Brutal Prince by Sophia Lark.
Yeah, we are. Mafia.
So yeah, that's a mafia romance. Obviously, we've been meaning to do one for quite a while, so I'm glad we finally got one on the docket. So that's Brutal Prince by Sophia Lark. It is on Kindle Unlimited. No, is it?
I don't think.
Do you know what? Do you know where I got it though? I picked it up straight off the shelf from Indigo. So potentially, because Sophie, like that series is getting a lot of traction. So like potentially you'll get it at your local bookstore.
I think they just redid the covers. That's why.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because it started off as it was like the traditional like man on the front covers.
Yeah.
And then now they get the fancy covers.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, that's Brutal Prince by Sophia Lark. We'll talk about that next time. Bye.
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 Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.